Who would have thought that two of the most influential artists of the 80s, Rick James and Prince, would be embroiled in one of the most intense rivalries in music history? Picture it. The late 70s, the dawn of a new decade just on the horizon. Two musicians, each with their unique style and sound, cross paths for the first time. Rick James, the flamboyant funk master with a penchant for wild performances, meets Prince, the enigmatic and multi-talented artist pushing the boundaries of pop and rock. It was a meeting that would set the stage for a legendary rivalry and forever change the landscape of music. Their styles were as different as their personalities. Rick James, with his raw and unapologetic funk, was a force of nature on stage, commanding attention with his high-energy performances and outrageous outfits. On the other hand, Prince, with his eclectic blend of rock, pop, and soul, was a musical chameleon, constantly evolving and defying genre conventions. Yet, despite their differences, or perhaps because of them, a spark of competition ignited between the two. Their first meeting was marked by a palpable tension, a silent acknowledgement of the battle lines being drawn. They were both on the rise, both hungry for success, both ready to fight for their place in the music industry. And fight they did. Their rivalry wasn't just a battle of egos, but a clash of musical ideologies. It was funk versus pop, raw energy against refined artistry. Each performance, each new release was a gauntlet thrown, a challenge issued. They pushed each other, each striving to outdo the other, to prove themselves the superior artist. But this was just the beginning. As their careers took off, so did the intensity of their rivalry. It wasn't just about who was the better musician anymore. It became personal, a feud that would spill over into their personal lives and the lives of those around them. As the 80s progressed, so did their rivalry, leading to some unforgettable incidents. Imagine going to a concert and witnessing not one, but two musical geniuses battling it out on stage. Welcome to the world of Rick James and Prince in the late 20th century. These two titans of funk and rock didn't simply perform at their concerts. No, they turned their shows into battlegrounds, arenas where they would compete for the title of the ultimate performer. The energy was electric, the tension palpable, as each sought to outdo the other with more flamboyant costumes, more daring dance moves, and of course more soulful rocking music. These were not your typical concerts. They were duels set to the rhythm of bass guitars and the beat of drums. Each performance was an attempt to outshine the other, to prove who was the true king of their musical realm. The audience were the witnesses, the judge and the jury, their applause the verdict on who had won the night. Perhaps the most infamous of these battles happened during Rick James's Fire It Up tour. Prince was the opening act, but he was not content to simply warm up the crowd. Instead, he unleashed a performance so powerful, so mesmerizing, that it threatened to eclipse the main act itself. Prince played like a man possessed, pouring his heart and soul into every note, every move. By the time Rick James took the stage, the audience was already spent, their cheers for Prince still echoing in the air. Rick James was not one to be upstaged, especially not on his own show. In response, he delivered a performance for the ages, pushing himself to the limit to reclaim his spotlight. But the damage had been done, and the incident only fueled the rivalry between the two. These stage battles were not just about music, they were a power play, a declaration of dominance. Each performance was a statement, a challenge, a gauntlet thrown down in the pursuit of musical supremacy. This was the battle of the bands, a war fought not with weapons but with guitars and microphones, with notes and rhythms, with sweat and passion, and the world of music was forever changed by it. Artistic rivalry is one thing, but what happens when it involves stealing each other's artists and ideas? This question takes us to the heart of the feud between Rick James and Prince, where the battle line was not just drawn on stage but also behind the scenes. The tale of talent theft begins with Rick James's band, the Stone City Band. It was alleged that Prince would often show up at their rehearsals, quietly observing, absorbing, and as Rick James claimed, stealing their unique sound. In fact, James was so convinced of this that he publicly accused Prince of ripping off his stage persona and music. But the plot thickens. The same accusations were hurled back at James when he allegedly poached members from Prince's camp. The most notable instance was when he recruited keyboardist Gail Chapman from Prince's band. This move not only escalated the rivalry, but also caused a personal rift between the two musicians. The alleged idea theft was a more subtle game. Both artists were pioneers in their own right, constantly pushing the boundaries of music. But in this heated rivalry, lines between inspiration and imitation often blurred. Prince's song Uptown was said to bear a striking similarity to James's Super Freak, and James's Ghetto Life seemed to echo Prince's Dirty Mind. Was it coincidence, or was it a case of listening a little too closely to the competition? This game of musical chairs and melodies had a profound impact, further straining an already tense relationship. It wasn't just about who had the best band or the biggest hit anymore. It was about pride, about protecting one's own creative space. And so the rivalry took a darker turn. It was no longer just a competition, it was a battle for supremacy, for originality. The stage was set, the lines were drawn, and the music was just the beginning. This was not just a rivalry anymore, it was a war, and it was about to get personal. Ever heard of a party so wild that it left Prince in tears? Well, buckle up, because we're diving headfirst into the legendary Hennessy incident. This wasn't just any party. It was a shindig thrown by none other than the original super freak himself, Rick James. In the lead up to this infamous event, tensions were already running high between Prince and Rick. They were both at the peak of their careers, each trying to outshine the other. As we've seen, this rivalry was marked by fierce competition, stolen talent, and even accusations of idea theft. But on this particular night, the rivalry took a turn for the unexpected. The party was in full swing, the music was loud, and the atmosphere was electric. Rick, always the life of the party, decided to take things up a notch. He handed Prince a glass of Hennessy, a strong cognac that's not for the faint of heart. Prince, known for his clean living, was reluctant. But Rick, ever the provocateur, wouldn't take no for an answer. As the story goes, Prince was eventually coaxed into taking a sip, and then another, and another, until eventually he found himself overwhelmed by the potent spirit. The Purple Rain singer reportedly ended up in tears, a moment that shocked the partygoers and added yet another chapter to the ongoing saga between these two music icons. In the aftermath of the party, the incident became a legendary tale in the music industry. It was a moment that showcased the extremes of their rivalry and the lengths that Rick was willing to go to get one up on Prince. But it also revealed a softer side to Prince, a vulnerability that fans rarely got to see. This incident marked a turning point in their rivalry, but was it the end, or just the beginning of more skirmishes to come? While it's easy to look back and laugh at the absurdity of it all, let's not forget that at the heart of this rivalry were two incredibly talented artists, each pushing the other to reach new heights of musical genius. And for that, we can only be grateful. The rivalry between Rick James and Prince was more than just a feud. It shaped the course of music history. This was a clash of two titans, a frenzied dance of ego, talent, and ambition that radiated waves of influence across the music landscape. Let's start with the impact on their careers. While both artists were undoubtedly talented in their own right, the rivalry fueled their drive to innovate, to push boundaries, and to constantly redefine their art. It was as if each chart-topping hit, each groundbreaking album was a gauntlet thrown, a challenge to the other to step up his game. This fierce competition led to an outpouring of creativity and innovation from both artists that would redefine the sound of a generation. But the ripple effect of this rivalry went beyond their personal careers. The music industry as a whole was caught in the crossfire, and it came out the other side transformed. The genre blending, the flamboyant performances, the relentless pursuit of originality, all of these became hallmarks of the music of the era, setting the stage for the eclectic mix of styles and attitudes we see in music today. Now let's turn our attention to how this rivalry is remembered today. It's been immortalized in pop culture, in biographies, documentaries, and countless retellings. It's become a touchstone, a symbol of the passionate, sometimes volatile nature of creative genius. It's a reminder that sometimes, out of discord and strife, can come art that transcends and endures. As we look back, we realize that this rivalry was not just about two artists at odds. It was a battle of musical titans, each leaving their own indelible mark on the world of music. And while Rick James and Prince may no longer be with us, the echoes of their rivalry still resonate, a testament to the power of their talent and the indomitable spirit of their music.